the problems facing NYCHA are enormous, and the size of NYCHA is enormous. So it takes planning to get things done. But I emphasize that while planning takes place, that doesn't mean that everything is at a standstill. There are still efforts being made to improve things. So we created the HUD agreement created something called action plans, and those action plans can be found on the Monitor website. And those action plans will give you details about what commitments NYCHA has made, what is required under the HUD agreement. For some, there are deadlines. For others, there are not. It depends on the kind of commitment that it is. So it's not. It is an activity that is ongoing all the time, and there are, we believe, improvements taking place all the time. Now, as I said before, some of the improvements you don't see. You can't get ready to fix this or prepare that or get equipment to the right place or get the heating ready for the next winter unless you do work to prepare for that. Now, I'm not suggesting that all that work is completed or all that work is done. That's an ongoing process as well. But doing that work gets us ready to make the changes that you will see more directly. The timetable is really set by how long it takes to get things done. It's not as if it's an artificial timetable where we say, okay, let's give ourselves 2 years. What can we do in 2 years? That's not what it goes. We say, where do we want to get to? And then we say, okay, how long is it going to take us to get there? And if it's 2 years, it's 2 years. It's a continuing process. So I would suggest you take a look at the action plans. You'll see much more detail. Those action plans are not the end of the game. They are revised as we go along. New action plans or revised action plans will be created. You'll see those as well. They may change the deadlines. They may add new commitments, but that's where you'll get to see more of the detail of what goes into planning for these things. But it is a long process. It's longer than anybody would want it to be, or that we want it to be. But you have to do it the right way and get the work done. I don't know if any of the pillar leaders want to add to that, or any particular things they want to say. They are day in and day out. They are focusing their time on these action plans and getting the best they can out of NYCHA as quickly as they can to achieve the goals of the action plans. If we can go on to the next question. Yeah.
Bart, thank you for that. The process is painfully and frustratingly slow. I wanted to take a moment to thank and acknowledge Alika Opry-Samuel, councilwoman from Brooklyn, for joining us this evening, who is also, we're so pleased to have on our CAC committee. And as you all know, she does so much work leading housing efforts and advocacy work on behalf of the whole city. So thank you so much for being here. I wanted to just ask if you had a few words to add.
Nothing to add. I just wanted to say good evening to you all. And I'm here in my office listening as well. And, please utilize my office to be of assistance and a liaison to NYCHA and the Federal Monitor. And we're here to serve. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to you because you've been very supportive of the Monitor's work. And when we've wanted to talk to somebody about issues, you've always been available. We're able to talk to you. And we really do appreciate that. So thank you for being here, and thank you for what you've contributed to help us get our work done.
Thank you.
And thank you for your important leadership in this area. I next wanted to also acknowledge we had asked the CCOP president, Mr. Danny Barber, to be with us this evening and to make a few remarks. Unfortunately, his brother passed away and he's not able to join us. So we send him and his family our deepest condolences, and our hearts are with them during this difficult time. But we also thank him for his leadership and his hard work and the work he does with the monitor as well. We appreciate the partnership with CCOP. And I can't tell everyone who's on the phone, but if Miss Lily Marshall, another CCOP member from Brooklyn, is here, please so identify for Floretta or Patricia so that we can move you over. And thank you for being here. And thank you again to all of the leaders who are on the phone. Please line up in the queue to indicate if you have questions that you would like for us to either read on your behalf, or if you would like to move over to be on camera to ask a question. I see some virtual hands going up, and I will ask Floretta to please announce the next question.
Thank you, Asha. We've just moved over Phyllis Brockett from Brooklyn. She's a Brooklyn TAP. I'm just trying to give her a second to undo her video. She can start her video and unmute herself so she can ask her question directly. There she is, Phyllis.
Great. Hello, Ms. Brockett. Good to see you this evening. You can unmute. The microphone is yours. We're asking that you please ask one question or comment. I think you're still muted, Ms. Brockett.
Can you, there we go. There we
There
go.
she
Okay.
is.
Now we can
Yes.
see you.
I just wanted to know, what is the accountability of management when both of the elevators are out in the building and a resident is left stranded for 12 hours in the lobby, defecates on herself, and there is no chair? You can put a chair in another development, but we don't have the chair because the fire department told the lady, we bring people down, we don't take people up. So I want to know, what is the accountability on behalf of management to rectify this situation? The lady is still depressed. She's still crying because she's embarrassed, because people walking in and out of the building saying, what is that odor? What is that smell? I'm just talking about human rights. Not animal rights, but human rights. What is the accountability on the part of management to rectify this situation or intervene?
Well, I'm not,
You can't understand what I'm saying?
no, I understand it very well, what you're saying. It is shocking. This is management's responsibility, and they do need to be held accountable for this, for a failure like this. This isn't an elevator failure, which is something that we work on. The elevator failure may have caused the problem, but leaving someone in that condition and that way, there's no excuse for that. But I assume this has been brought to the attention of management, and I assume they're doing something about it. But if you're asking me to follow up on that, I will certainly do so to find out and get back to you and tell you what's being done.
Also, what about putting a chair, one of those chairs in our development? I heard that you put a chair in another development out here in East New York. What about Linden? Doesn't the lives of the residents in Linden matter just as well as these other developments?
Well,
I mean,
I'm sure they do, but we can ask NYCHA that question as well. If there's some reason that they didn't provide a chair, or they don't provide seating in the lobby.
So Bart, if I can, hi, Ms. Brockett, this is Dan Brownell. We've spoken on the phone a couple times in the last week. So
right.
We're looking into this. With regard to the chair, we're also looking into why it can't be used. I think it's Linden Houses.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, some of the chairs won't fit in some of the stair halls because they're too narrow. I can't say that that's the case with Linden Houses, but obviously we share your concern, particularly that the resident was left stranded in the lobby for so long and why property management didn't respond.
We will continue to follow up.
Okay, I hope I can hear from you and you let me know about what you're following up for. Just don't leave me suspended in animation. Let me know, okay?
No, we won't do
We
that.
won't.
I promise you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brockett, for your important question, and we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Floretta, do we have another Brooklyn resident in line with a question or comment?
Yes, we have Lisa Kinner from Van Dyke, Brooklyn. And I've moved you over, Miss Kinner. You can go ahead and share your screen.
Hello, Ms. Kenner, we can see you and you look like
Good
you're
evening.
unmuted.
Good evening.
There she
Please.
is.
Good evening.
My question is, I know that we need people to work in the buildings. And to my knowledge, that a lot of new people been working, but they haven't been trained. So I know that due to COVID-19, that's why a lot of them couldn't be trained, but they can be trained at the development that they live, that they work at. I mean, a half a day or something, because the window sills are not getting wiped down. Now, how can you clean inside the car, elevator car, but you don't clean outside the elevator car? You know, I had a young lady who's gonna come down to the office in the basement and wipe the floor. She had the dirtiest mop I ever seen. I said, I know you ain't bringing that mop down here. So I know housing have the equipment, but they have to be trained because there's a lot of new people and some of them don't know how to wash the floor. Some of them don't wash the window sill. And being that we got COVID-19, everybody yelling COVID-19, why are the buildings not being cleaned right? Hope make the supervisor caretaker accountable and anybody else.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that one. That's a continuing problem at NYCHA. It's the accountability for work that is supposed to be done. It's the same problem with vendors who don't do their work, but nobody is checking to see
Right.
whether the work is done. It really cuts across the various things that we're looking at. There isn't any one pillar that says accountability, but accountability is in every pillar. And training and lack of training also is a continuing problem. Those are the kinds of things that are being addressed in these plans, but that's no excuse for not getting it done now. When there are failures, we often hear, well, we don't have the resources. We don't have the money to do it. But training people, inspecting the work that's done, that's not a matter of money, that's a matter of management.
And Mr. Schwartz, training can be done on the developments like a half an hour, or something during the course of a day. You can't keep talk about COVID-19 because life still goes on. But
Right.
these people must be trained because if you're not cleaning, what's the sense of them coming to work and getting a paycheck?
Mhm.
Correct.
Ms. Kenner, if I can ask, what development are you referring to?
Van Dyke, I think.
Oh,
One.
Van Dyke, I'm sorry, that's right, you said that.
I mean, I have washed the elevators myself, the lobby. I wipe the windows because I live here and I know a lot of other residents do their part where they live at. But it's not fair if you got people walking around and they stay on the telephone. I don't know why they didn't give them walkie-talkies. They stay on the telephone. You can't talk on the telephone and clean. The windowsills look horrible. We have 22 buildings. I've been to about 15.
Yeah, that's a lack of oversight and a lack of management.
Exactly.
Exactly. Really good point, Ms. Kenner. Thank you so much for your question. We'll now turn to the next resident. Reminder, our Brooklyn residents are our VIPs for the evening. So we're trying to get all of your questions up front But if you are in another borough and have a question or concern, please so indicate in the chat. Floretta, who's next?
So we're gonna have Joel Cooperman. He's on the line. Oh, you can go ahead and share your screen and unmute yourself.
Great. Hello,
There you
Mr.
are.
Kupperman.
Hello, Mr. Kupferman. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, I'm responding to the elevator outage. I've worked quite a bit with the firefighters union after 9/11, and I'm representing the Tenants Association at Smith and St. Nick's. What concerns me is that there's not enough planning and cooperation with the FDNY and the EMTs. I believe there should be fire drills, and planning, especially when there's outages. All those firefighters want to work with the local tenant associations and management. And yet, supposedly due to regulations, it's preventing fire drills and the like, but there should definitely be a lot more cooperation. Especially, I'm concerned about evacuation of people in wheelchairs that also need special needs.
Yes, that is a problem. But Asha, you know, we have something called the CAC, which is a committee made up of residents, and it's a committee that was required under the HUD agreement, and it's turned out to be a very valuable tool. On the committee, we have the police department, the fire department, residents, various city agencies, and so forth. And Asha, maybe you want to take a moment and talk a little bit of the progress that we made with the fire department in terms of getting keys, so they don't have to break down doors all the time. And some of the other things that they're doing, which they hadn't done before, but because of the CAC sitting around the table together, they realized there was more to be done.
Yeah, thank you for that important question, Mr. Kupperman, because you're right. There just needs to be so much more coordination. And that was one of the things that we identified pretty early on. So we're happy to have the group where we have literally members of the fire department and the police department and NYCHA all in one room. And one of the things, as Bart just mentioned, that we heard was a lot of complaints because the fire department would come and have to break the door down because they didn't have keys or key fobs. And so one of the things that we suggested was that they make sure that every unit and the nearby units have the key fobs for the developments in their neighborhoods so that process could be eliminated. And we were happy to hear them report that they have made sure that every fire department unit does have the current set of keys. Another issue that we talked about specifically to your concern is to make sure that the various developments are getting the proper training from the fire department about what you can do in the event of a fire, general safety tips, but also development concerns. And so we have a training person from FDNY. Even in this pandemic, they've made a virtual training available on their website. And they are really encouraging TAPs to get in touch with them, and they will do a virtual training session specifically for your development. Before the pandemic hit, we were actually helping set up those training scenarios for each person, each development, and sending the FDNY training out to your development. But now they are working with NYCHA's resident engagement and community engagement folks, and also doing it directly. So if there's anyone on this call who would like us to help facilitate getting that training to your development, just let us know. We'd be happy to help with that. Encourage you to utilize the training from the FDNY website and get them to you directly.
Well, we'll put you in touch. We have your contact information, Mr. Kupferman, and we'll contact the fire department education group that is doing this work and put you in touch with them.
Okay, just one quick follow-up. I think it's important, each firehouse or district with each house, not just a broad, abstract plan. I think it's the firefighters want to come and actually do some type of even fire drill and come and meet and talk about evacuation plans. And just one more thing also, at Smith, they designed and proposed and built flood control barriers, that temporary barriers, they are not ADA compliant. They are locking people in the wheelchairs, okay? If they get put in, the people in wheelchairs are going to be locked in and cannot be removed. We ask that the ladders that they put in be made wheelchair accessible, and they're not. And yet we've been asking about this for the last 2 years, and we want to make sure that the contractor is not paid until it's fully ADA compliant. And we're concerned that there's a design flaw that if it's happening at Smith, it's probably happening elsewhere.
Yeah, well, that sounds like that's a Sandy repair. Is that?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. So there is a special group at NYCHA that deals with Sandy issues.
no, we've been complaining to them and there's been no
Was that
insufficient.
right?
That
What-
unit also told us that they checked with your ADA, I mean, NYCHA's ADA people, and said it was compliant, and there was no compliance and no documentation. So we just feel that NYCHA's open to ADA, federal complaint that, we're building something that's locking people into the building.
We'll talk to Capital. I think that's in the Capital group, I believe.
Yes.
We'll talk to them and follow up. Are these the ones where they built, they have these sliding walls? You slide
Yes.
in? Okay. So
Okay, and basically it locks it in, the wheelchair
it.
can't come out over
got
and,
it.
right. And they also said they can only put them in if they make sure that everyone is outside the building, which is, basically an impossibility. And we spoke to the fire department and they objected to these also, so
So
there's
have they-
got more consultation on the planning process with emergency response
Have
people.
they, if there is an emergency, I understand it's up to the residents to put the walls up. Have they trained anybody how to do that?
It's supposed to be local staff, and if it's not done the right way, you have to, it's heavy plates, and also if they don't take away put on the submerged pump to pull out the water, you're gonna end up with people drowning. I mean, it's gonna do the opposite of what those walls are supposed to do. It's been totally misplanned, but never corrected.
All right, thanks. We'll go back to Capital and as that, I have to admit that that's totally out of my jurisdiction. It's not in the HUD agreement. It's not in any of the agreements that I'm involved in, but that doesn't stop us from asking questions. So we'll do that. And we'll also take care of the fire department connection. Because I know they're willing to train and to meet with people. In fact, they increase their training in the winter when they're afraid people will be using ovens or other things for heat, or they're not using proper wiring. If they have too many things on an outlet and so forth, they try to be responsive to the current problems that exist. And they've been, for us on the CAC committee, they started first by making sure that the local firehouse had a key and the key fob, so they didn't have to knock down the walls. Then they realized that the way the fire department works, if there is a serious fire in another section, the fire equipment may move to another section of the city to help. So then if there's a fire in the first section, there's nobody who knows where the key is. So now they're making sure that surrounding firehouses have keys in an effort to avoid that problem. So they're making an effort. They're trying to do the right thing.
Right, it's the key, but also knowing which people have special needs for
Right.
evacuation.
Yeah, they're two separate problems. I understand. But I
But
just,
in some ways, I just want to say they're very much related because it should be done with the local house.
well, they have to know what they're facing when they come in.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Floretta, who's up?
Yes, I just want to voice a question. This is from Cassandra Harrell. She's a TAP from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. She's on the line, but she doesn't have a mic, so I'm just going to ask the question for her. She says she's very concerned about the structural conditions of her development. she gave an example of a tenant there who you can literally walk through the floor. The floor is so messed up and cracked, and it's been an ongoing issue with this one particular tenant, and she's had to deal with this for quite a while. So she's really concerned about the structural issues. They're talking about repair, but nothing's been done. And she's just wondering what's going on. She's been complaining for over a year, and nothing's been done.
Okay, Floretta, not on the open mic here, but if you would talk to her and get us the details, the name of the resident, if you could get that, and certainly what apartment and the building, we'll follow up with NYCHA on that. We'll follow up with operations.
Will do. And Ms. Harrell, could you continue to type in the chat if I can add anything to this, to your question. The next we have Mr. Santiago, who is on video. He's from Surfside Gardens, and he's a TAPS. Go ahead, Mr. Santiago.
Good evening, Mr. Santiago. Please unmute yourself. We can't hear you, Mr. Santiago. Please unmute.
Unmute yourself,
You're on
Mr.
mute.
Santiago. There you go.
Now,
Great.
Yes,
my big concern is with Sandy recovery. Right now, they destroying or demolishing our basement walls. And there's a big particle of dust coming into the apartments on the first floor. Now, from what I hear, they removing lead paint. Now, these dust got lead in it. Don't you think everybody in the first floor is gonna get sick? Even my office is full of dust overnight. There's gotta be a way to control this problem. Not only that, I would like for the federal monitor to really get into finding out how the money is being misused from FEMA's money for Sandy recovery in Coney Island.
the following the money for Sandy is not something that I can do. It's not within my authority, but when you talk about dust and a health hazard such as that, that is something we can look at. And there are three new departments were set up in NYCHA as a result of the HUD agreement. We helped set them up. One of them is called the Compliance Department. It's kind of, it takes in a lot of territory. There's one for environmental health and safety, one for quality assurance, and one for compliance. And they each have their separate areas, but there often is overlap. What we can do is take this one to both compliance and environmental health and safety. When we refer things to them, we also follow them up and stay with them. So what we'll do tomorrow is we'll give them a call, find out what's going on. Have you reported this to them that you think it's lead-based paint?
I went to the office today. We got a new manager, a new super that I can't seem to get in contact with at all. I wrote a letter to the chair, Mr. Ross, about it. And I sent it to Danny Barbara and my chair.
Yeah.
Because if you I walk into this manager's office, it's like nobody cares. You know, you speak to a person, it's like speaking to the wall. This is what's going on in this development. You know, not only that, we don't have an intercom system for 8 years. And the senior buildings, the seniors have to come down to open the doors for their home attendant. Now they want us to wait till Sandy Recovery does their work to fix this problem. I don't think that's fair to the tenants. This problem should have been solved 8 years ago.
You know, Mr. Santiago, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. We have a group of people working on our team. Many of them former NYPD. They're experienced at gathering information, putting it in a format so that we can turn it over and we can follow up on it. We'll have we'll contact you tomorrow and we'll make arrangements for one of them to meet with you. Let's get all of this down, not piecemeal, one at a time. Let's get it all down and then we'll follow up with NYCHA.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't know if do we have Mr. Santiago's contact information, or I'm sure we do.
Yeah, you can have both of my emails and my.
Okay,
Yes, we do.
we'll follow up with you. Find a convenient time, and one of the experienced people, one of the men or women who are in that team will sit with you and take it all down.
Okay, how can I go about finding out about the money that was supposed to be spent in our developments from FEMA?
Well,
I think there's been a big misuse of this money.
well, something like that in most situations like this would be within the realm of the Inspector General. Now, this is federal money, but it's a city, essentially a city agency for these purposes. So the Department of Investigation is the Inspector General for NYCHA. And then there is an Inspector General on the federal side. And Dan Brownell, who is on this, who's just raised his hand, Dan used to be head of one of the agencies in the city, and he's familiar with the way the Inspector Generals work and how that whole process works. So Dan, maybe before we send somebody over to talk with Mr. Santiago, you brief them on what they should be asking relating to IG.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Santiago.
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay, good. And we
Thank
can
you,
give you,
Mr.
we can also
Santiago.
have the contact information for the IG's office, the city IG office. It's part of as I said, the Department of Investigation for the city. But there's federal funding, obviously federal funding. So the federal government has an interest in that as well.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you for those questions. And then again, the way this is working this evening, we are going to ask that everyone indicate in the chat if you have a question. Our VIPs for the evening are Brooklyn residents, so we'll try to call them Brooklyn residents first. We ask that you please ask one question. If you don't want to move over to the video, please indicate in the chat that you'd like us to read your question for you. After you've asked your question, we will move you back over to the attendees room. But if you have another question, feel free to raise your hand again. So Floretta will move Mr. Kupperman and Mr. Santiago back over. I see Ms. Colon on the line. So is she next? Floretta?
I know you said
Yes.
Brooklyn. I know you said Brooklyn is big, but I think it's getting bigger tonight.
Yes, Naomi Cologne, she is our tap from Marcy Houses in Brooklyn. Naomi, you are muted, just unmute and proceed.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. So good to see you.
You too. We're having multiple problems here. But I know I only have, like you said, a question, but I want to know, why is it that it's taking months, and I'm talking months and months at a time, for the residents to receive a stove? I have residents here living with a hot plate, one hot plate, a matter of fact, one hot plate, and they're using this to cook their food for their families, waiting on a stove. They wait for the stove more than 8 to 9 months. I mean, that is unacceptable. I don't get it. I don't get it. Before the maintenance guys used to put the stove, now we have plumbers. If the plumbers are not in Marcy, the tenants are not going to get a stove. And it's a complaint that's been given to me daily, every day. And I feel sorry for the residents because, one hot plate, are you serious?
Yeah.
That is the most deplorable thing I've ever seen. I mean, you should see these hot plates. They burn fast, number one. People cook for their children. I have a lady with a sink in her house, you know, the artificial sink, not artificial, you know, the plastic sink. They took
Temporary.
her sink, yeah, the temporary one. She has that in her house for over 6 months. I reported it to management. I told the superintendent, I got a good relationship with them. I tell them, and it's like the other president said, they act like they don't care, you know? And this is unacceptable because we have to live here. They pay rent, you know? Nobody is living for free. And I don't want to hear this business about COVID-19 because this stuff was happening before COVID-19,
Yeah, yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
And I mean, everything happened, it was happening before COVID-19. They just got, I don't want to say lazier, but it's just gotten to the point where, you know, oh, I'm not going into that apartment, COVID and this and that. And, you know, you wear a mask, you come into the apartment, you wear a mask, the resident has a mask on, you know? All you have to do is put a stove in for these residents. And I have a lady that every time she sees me, she says, not yet, not yet. You know, and I feel so bad because, you know, I tell the superintendent, listen, what's going on here? He sits there and I sit in his office and I watch this man put it in the computer to the plumbers to come. I want to know how these plumbers are getting paid, because if they're getting paid like NYCHA's paying them and they're not coming here, but they're getting paid and they're not coming here to put these stoves. Why didn't they leave it where the maintenance men were doing it? We didn't have this problem at all. We never had this problem.
Yeah, this is not an excuse and not the justification, but the reason the law changed and the law requires that plumbers do the hookup. But that's not a reason to wait 8 to 9 months and live with a hot.
You know, because let me say something to you very clearly. If it had been me, I wouldn't wait a month without a stove, because that's not acceptable. Not with me paying rent. You know, you have to give service rendered. You are the provider, and these people here, some of them get upset to the point where I have to take the abuse. And I know other presidents go through the same thing. Some people are just angry. They don't mean to be that way, but you mean to tell me it's okay for a person to be without a stove for 8 months, for a person to be without a sink for almost a year? And nobody is doing anything? Something has to be done. You know, I try to talk to them and calm them down, not to call the media up in here. You know, I had the media up in here before and 534 on the second floor. Her cabinets, her whole stove, everything there was deplorable. It was disgusting. That lady was living with all this old stuff. And I don't see how that happened, but you know, she slipped through the cracks, as they say. But it's sad that we have to live under these conditions and also pay rent. Because I'm talking about tenants, these tenants are paying rent. And they pay high rent. The rent here is not, rent in NYCHA is no longer low rent. It's not cheap no more, you know?
Nope.
These people work, you know, and it's sad, you know, because I find myself with my hands tied, and I don't like that. I like to help people, and I can't do nothing about it, you know, and I try to talk to Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant sits there and he's constantly going to that computer, sending emails. When, please, we need the plumbers here, you know? Something has to give, sir. I mean, really, we cannot have no more excuses. These tenants cannot go without stoves. That's just not feasible. That's not fair. It's not. And I just got one more thing to say. I have one building in this development that is driving the rest of the residents crazy. It's on the 4th floor, and all we have is hanging out, smoking, gambling, fighting, whatever, music, a speaker in the hallway. People cannot live. And I called the PSA 3. I told the manager about it. I told management. I told them, why can't we not do anything about these residents? They know who they are. And they're making it difficult for the rest of the residents in the building to live. They're afraid to even go out the door after 4 o'clock to shop, because the hall is blocked with a bunch of guys hanging out and everybody. And it's been reported to the police. It's been reported to the management, and nothing has been done. These people think that we abandoned that building. That was one of my, I'm also a resident watch supervisor. That was one of my resident watch buildings. It was beautiful in there. The building is deteriorating because of the hanging out, the way the ongoing in that building. And we need something to be done about that ASAP because it is horrible. Before somebody innocent in that building will get hurt with the ongoings in there.
Thank you so much for your concerns and questions. It's really important because you hit upon a lot of important issues. One, just the time delay in getting important services and stoves and sinks and all of that repair work done. And you also hit the important issue of safety and security.
Yes.
We hear those concerns a lot. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I know there's, particularly for the taps, I know how frustrating it is because you bear the brunt of your entire development's concerns and everyone's turning to you, and it's frustrating where you can't help.
Yeah.
Thank you for your continued leadership and
You're
advocacy.
welcome.
I want to next turn to Miss Sheila Smalls from O'Dwyer. I know you have a concern too. Just in the interest of time, because we want to get to as many questions and concerns as possible, I do ask that you please raise one issue, but feel free to get back to you after. But go ahead, please, Ms. Smalls. Please unmute. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you
Good
for this
evening.
forum, Mr. Schwartz.
Good evening.
I'm a resident leader at O'Dwyer Gardens. I've spoken to Ms. Handy. I've spoken to several of your other monitors that came, and we talked for hours and hours and hours about accountability, misuse of funding, and collaboration with the NYCHA and the resident leaders. We have the Sandy recovery repair going on at Coney Island, and my problem is that NYCHA is making all the decisions for us without me being at the table or Mr. Santiago. Money's being missing, nothing's being really done right now, and they're like just working without us, regardless, like bulldozing over us to work without us. And it's not right and it's not fair. And according to the 964 regulations, they are in violation of that 964 rule. And they have been for a long time. And I also said that to the monitors that came. So I'd like to know about the accountability and what could be done about making a halt before they start and make a mess over here, because they did Coney Island houses, they did Gravesend and Cary Gardens. However, all of these places, the work has stopped in the middle of nothing, and nothing's being done right now. And I really don't want that to happen here.
Well, as I said before, Sandy is not not covered by the agreement that appointed me. But we will go to Capitol and we'll go talk to the senior people at NYCHA and ask them to take a look at this and find out what's going on and why there are so many common complaints about the Sandy recovery. So we'll do that.
I appreciate it very much. Can we get some feedback?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, because I know just going through that storm was terrible, and then all these years later, still going through the recovery efforts. It's really frustrating. And I know you've met with our team, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, Bob. He's just putting up the
keeping us informed, and we'll get back to you as well. I did want to highlight the monitor contact information. We're grateful to be here tonight and thankful for all of you for joining us. But please feel free to reach out to us at any time. This isn't just a one stop and then we're gone again. You can always email us at monitor@nycha.com. We don't necessarily respond to every email, but we do read every single email, and we do forward them to NYCHA as appropriate to look into and follow the issues and concerns. We do ask that you, if you're not comfortable with emailing, feel free to call us. We have a toll-free number, 844-309-6080, or you can reach us at the local number, 347-809-5692. 5555. And we will post this contact information periodically throughout the evening and again at the end. But please reach out to us and please keep in touch. I wanted to,
Before you go on, Asha, I see a hand raised. Eva, did you want to speak?
Thank you, Bart. I just wanted to say to all the residents on the call tonight that I am also taking notes on all of your complaints and issues and writing down your developments so that I can follow up alongside with the monitor team to track down these issues and help to bring a resolution. I can vouch that the monitor team does forward your emails to us because I receive almost all of them and we help track down some of these issues. So I did just want to introduce myself. I'm the Executive Vice President for Strategy and Innovation. I work directly for the chair, and I'm here taking notes on everything you're saying, and we will definitely be following up on all of your issues. So thank you, and keep it coming because it's important to hear all of this for us.
thank you. And thank you.
Thank you, Eva.
here.
Thank you, Eva.
And for being a partner to work closely with us. I want to keep going with questions for the evening. Again, our Brooklyn residents are our VIPs for the evening, but we do invite questions from all over the city. Floretta, can you please let us know who's next?
Sure, I think we're moving into the other boroughs. We're gonna call on Vanessa Collins. Vanessa, thank you for being so patient. She's a resident from Staten Island. You're able to share your video. Great.
Hello.
Hi, Ms. Collins. We can hear
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hello.
Your
Thank y'all for
answer.
waiting for me.
you. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. I'm calling. I'm in a Zoom meeting. I'm a little nervous. Hey, I'm in Staten Island, and I have a few questions, but I know it's limited to one. I'm gonna make it quick. I work in HRA. My question is, how is the application process going? Because I see a lot of undocumented people coming into the agency, and a lot of undocumented people are in NYCHA, and they have children that are under, I'm gonna say 10 and under, and they have apartments, and you have people that have been on waiting lists for a long time, for years, like 10, 20 years, and they still don't get called. And with the rate markets today in Brooklyn, within the 5 boroughs, the rents is high. How is their selection going for picking people off the waiting list? How does that go?
Well, it's not a process that I'm familiar with, and it's not one that I'm really involved in. I know that they have HUD has regulations, and NYCHA has to follow those regulations, and then NYCHA has its own process. But if you give us a call, or we'll call you, we'll find out who's the person, or maybe Eva, could you help us with that? And just let us know who the person is who handles or manages that, and we'll get them to explain it to you.
Yes.
Then make your own.
Absolutely, I'll help make that connection.
Okay.
Ava, I really greatly appreciate it because I have about 25 people off the top right now who've been on a waiting list for more than 10 years. And it is disturbing to see new people coming undocumented, no social security numbers, going to shelters, getting apartments. People are in shelters and still don't get apartments. And they have been waiting for years on these lists, renewing. These people just come and get, is there a special program that you have for, I guess for immigrants coming in? I don't know. I'm just asking.
There are different. I know enough that there are different kinds of special programs. I don't know the categories. I don't know the requirements, and I don't know how carefully it's monitored and watched. But you're right that there are different kinds of programs. Maybe that answers part of the question. But you ought to find out. We'll find out so you know.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I respect everybody's agendas tonight, and everybody speaking the truth on, when NYCHA do have fires, how the firefighters do come in, when they do have to board up stuff, it do sit for months. And if you are having contractors in the work, should not be halfway done. And in the projects, even when I was on a project at 303, there was supposed to be a year like a year program going on, like a project going on with renovation, and it wound up taking like 4 to 5 years. So when it comes down to the selection of the contractors, I think it's very, very important that these people's backgrounds be checked. You just can't keep paying them and they not doing the work. And when it comes to the apartments, I understand that they use certain materials, they go with the cheapest bidders and they get these contractors. And I just moved into my apartment. I'm out here, I'm a resident, and I've been out here for 1 year. My floors have slipped and moved. I was told that the floors are like that because I'm near the water. I was told that the borders in my apartment, all of them starting to peel off, is because of the water, the moist in the air. I never heard of that. But the quality that they pay these people to do, the work is halfway done and they use cheap quality. And the cabinets, every so often, you can't expect the client to live in tenant to live in an apartment for about 40 years and don't need new cabinets and appliances. You know, like I said, I know y'all bid on the cheapest things and try to give you things that's refurbished, but people pay good rent. People paying thousands of dollars for rent. And, you know, they should be entitled to get good stuff and not have people afraid to come in and do their job who's getting paid.
Well, you know, what you're talking about, there's a common element in a lot of what we're hearing. And that common element is that nobody is taking responsibility and nobody is inspecting to see that people do their jobs. And again, I'll say it, that's not a lack of money. That is a lack of management.
Service. Yep. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and you're right, there is no service mentality. That takes time to develop, but it's something that's specifically referred to in the transformation plan that NYCHA prepared, talking about service mentality, serving the resident population.
Thank you for those important issues. And I remind everyone how it's working to make sure that if anyone has any more questions, we have some time for more questions, so feel free to indicate in the chat. If you had a second question that you didn't get to, and we respect everyone, appreciate you trying to keep it brief, but we have some more time if you want to get back in line and come back over into the panelist room. So do you have anyone who's next?
Yes, we have Deborah Benders. She is the TAP from Cooper Park Houses. And I'm just going to voice her question. How can the monitor along with management help a tenant who seems to have mental issues and continually causes flooding in her apartment, which goes into the apartment below and even to the second floor apartment? This issue has caused damage in the tenant apartment below her. What can be done to help the person causing this problem?
Well, I'm not as conversant with the city agencies as other people are, but the city does have agencies. Ms. Lozano, did you want, if you can help, please just unmute yourself. I'd like to learn also.
When we have issues like that, we used to have the Department of Social Services. So what happens is you got to provide the information, of course, with confidentiality to management, and they will work on the referral to intercede with having Adult Protective Services and other agencies that NYCHA has partnered with. That's how you could get that resolved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and I will also refer this, we have a Family Services division. I will refer this to Family Services and they can follow up as well.
Thank you.
Can I just speak on something she just said about social services? I work in social services and I just had a client come in from Douglas Houses. And right now, all I can tell you is that the staffing is low and it's a process. If possibly, I would say reach out to 311 or reach out to the adult services yourself if you're in a NYCHA resident as a TA, and try to get them that help yourself, because social services right now is very limited. They're not even handling a lot of things they're supposed to be doing. Real talk. I'm being honest.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for adding that.
No problem.
And do we have any more questions? If not, I wanted to see if any monitor team members have any comments or questions for the group.
Miss Kenner, Lisa Kenner, she did have another question.
Okay, Ms.
I have another question. You know, we're underneath the map. Van Dyke 1 is one of the maps. And it was started from the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice and then supposed to be map, Mayor's Action Plan. Now, going back, it's about 6 years now, I've been fighting about these intercoms. Our intercoms was working before they came in and changed it. You know, everybody blaming this one and this one. I know it was under Verizon, then it went under Files. Verizon and Files is the same company. Now, this is why our windows are being vandalized to get in the building, cracked, because the intercoms is not working. Now they tell me it's only 5 buildings. So if it's 5 buildings, why you can't fix the intercom? Now we have 12, 14-story buildings and 9 small buildings. The small buildings are working, but the 14-story intercoms are not working. So that means people got to come downstairs to open up the door. And then some people can't get downstairs and people trying to get in, they break in the glass. I want somebody to come and fix the intercom because it's been 6 years. I've been to one police plaza when they have their meetings. I've been to every meeting. I've been to 2 Lafayette and still nobody comes and do anything. But yet they're going to say, oh, see, they use their data and say, oh yeah, this is happening here. No, it's happening because they ain't fixed nothing. They didn't fix the intercoms. So somebody needs to look into that.
Yeah.
That's an important point. And the lack of intercoms, like you said, it becomes a trickle effect. Then people break the doors because they can't get in, the windows get broken, you have security issues. It all is like a domino. So it's a really important concern. And it's
NYCHA safety and security, they supposed to have been looking into it, but then everybody passing the buck over here. We have a newer manager, you know, but the thing is that they break in the glass and then it takes forever to get the glass fixed. And I got to stay on them. I got to put tickets in because I go from building to building and it don't make no sense. It's a safety issue because you don't want the door to stay open because now we have 143 men across the street in the shelter.
Right.
It's definitely, it's a safety and security issue, and it's also a financial issue because all the damage that gets done when it does get repaired just gets broken again, as they do with the doors. So it is a big problem. And then people come in and they use the hallways as a bathroom, and it just contributes to the unpleasantness that you shouldn't have to put up with. I don't understand the intercom excuses that we hear. These days, there's wireless intercom where you don't even have to have wires that are vulnerable to vandalism or other kinds of problems.
They never, when they put the new door in and the intercom, they never fixed it. It never worked.
They never connected it. That sounds like, it sounds like they never connected it. That's what.
Right. It's been 6 years. It's been underneath, it was Verizon, then it went to Files. I don't think they know, they think everybody's stupid. Nobody's stupid, you know, because Files and Verizon is the same company.
Yeah. So you're at Van Dyke, right?
Van Dyke 1.
Van Dyke 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Kenna, for raising that concern. And I just want to take a moment to make a few announcements. So we're doing these community meetings. Unfortunately, with COVID, we're doing them virtually, but we are moving to every borough, every other month. So we were in Staten Island. Well, we were virtually, we're in Bronx, and then we're in Staten Island. Now we're in Brooklyn. We're going to keep moving to the boroughs. So for those who aren't Bronx residents, we will be getting to your borough, but we are open at this point of the evening to questions from all boroughs. And we wanted to also let you know that we have these CAC meetings where we have, as we mentioned, a resident from each borough. And we also have elected officials like Councilwoman Alika Ampry-Samuel. We have a representative from the mayor's office, Vicky Bean's office. We have someone from DFTA, DYCD. We have someone from the fire department and NYPD. We have a community representative and others. And we are looking for more representatives from the resident population who are TAPs in each borough. So if that's an interest, please reach out to us and let us know if you're interested. And we're also looking to engage more formally with residents around varying issues, particularly as we move into the implementation phase, to really get your views on how things are working on each of the action plans, and even some of the nitty-gritty details. We were talking through how to deal with apartments that have children under 6 and dealing with lead and abatement issues. And we'd really like to get varying roundtables of interested residents like yourselves who have thoughts and experiences in these issues to weigh in. So please get in touch with us if you want to be part of any of those discussion groups, because we really value your opinions. You really are the eyes and ears on the ground, and really your voice is critical to the success of all of these initiatives. So we wanted to invite that continued communication. We have put up in the chat how to reach us. I remind you to just email, please, at any time, nitramonitor.com. And find our website. It's again, we're reachable at monitor@nitramonitor.com. We have a toll-free number and a 347 number, so keep in touch with us. With that, I just wanted to ask Floretta, do we have any other questions in queue?
Yes, I'm gonna ask, I'm sorry.
I thought I saw a question in the chat. Let me respond to it.
Sure.
The question does seem to be, I only saw part of it, that repairs are not made, but the work orders are closed. And that is an all too common complaint, and all too common a problem. I can't give you the details now because we're still working them out. But I'm trying to put together a way where we can have a follow-up from Monitor staff and working with NYCHA to see if repairs are being made, if orders are being closed, work orders are being closed when work is not being done. Or another very common problem is that the job is half done, but the work order is all complete, and nobody returns to finish the work. So we're looking into ways that we can perhaps create an inspection process while NYCHA is still trying to get the whole process working. We can spot the problems and deal with them. So just bear with us on that one. I can't give the details, and not all the details are set, but it's something that we're trying to figure out to sort of jumpstart and raise the quality of the work product that you get, and the quality of the goods that are installed.
Right. Good point. I think we have Ms. Harrison up next.
That's correct.
Great. Ms. Harrison, we can see you. Can you please unmute yourself?
Good evening.
Welcome. Hi, how are you this evening?
I'm fine. I was hoping I didn't have to go on video, but here I am.
You look great.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, I put my question in the chat, but I guess I have to, well, two things. I apologize. I came in about 45 minutes late, so I don't know if you addressed this already. But one of the concerns I have, well, several, but for time's sake, the staffing here in my development, we did away with the AWS program, But it seems before and after the AWS program, we still have staffing shortages. The work is not getting done. The routine work is not getting done. Development such as sweeping, mopping, and buffing, cleaning up outside. When it gets really, really bad, I had to call on management, and of course, you know, they put out fires, but there's no routine schedule because they're always short people. It seems like we can't hold on to anybody. I just wonder why that situation is. And during the summer, when we did have some short-term young people working here, I myself saw them, you know, kind of one out of five was doing the work, and the other four were kind of loitering. And NYCHA, the older NYCHA staff said there's nothing they can do. You can't really correct these people, these young people. So they pretty much do what they want to do. So I'm wondering, number one, the quality of personnel coming in, the culture they come into. You know, if you overwork some people, that kind of gets on to the new people, and nobody does their work with quality, with excellence. I like to have my ground picked up first thing in the morning. Sometime when I go out at water, I give them space. When I go out about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon to make sure it's been done. There's still garbage around the front in the lobby. The lobby hasn't been done. I have to call them to pick up trash, you know, get the trash cleaned up at the trash pickup site. It's always an issue with staffing. And is this NYCHA wide, or is it just a management problem? And the second thing I was going to, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's a broad enough problem that it's not just your problem, believe me. Starting with AWS, I think everybody agrees that the AWS program was poorly implemented and poorly planned, and rather than give you more attention in the evening and early in the morning, it turned out you didn't have enough people to move the garbage when they needed to be moved. And but NYCHA recognizes that. So you know, I talked about the implementation plan and how that the purpose of that is to find a way to get things done with the resources that are available. And the AWS program and staffing are a critical and key part of that, of the transformation plan and the implementation plan. So NYCHA knows that they know it's a problem, and they're trying to fix it. The effort is there. The result isn't there yet because the solution isn't right yet. But they brought it. You know, sometimes I'm skeptical about experts, especially since I'm supposed to be an expert. But they brought in experts in all fields related to this to try to figure it out, and they're working very hard to do that. Because it's not just a question of not enough people. It's a question of utilizing the people effectively. So you get the work done, you get the grounds covered, you get the inspection done. So you know, I hate to say it, I wish you were an exception, but you're not. This is a problem throughout NYCHA and throughout the developments. They are working on it. There've been some improvements on the garbage pickup side. That's not all AWS. Yeah, not at yours. Okay.
On your side, my garbage can be on the street. I'm supposed to have 3 pickups a week, which is still took me too few. So okay, I got 3 pickups a week. Now they've been skipping a day, so my garbage is on the street anywhere from 4 to 5 days a week.
Dan, could you follow up
like everybody else?
Yeah.
Okay, senior development, they got people sitting among the rats, walking through the rat pile, you know, when during the daytime, it's horrendous.
I'm going to ask Dan to follow up on that, because he has I don't know, is Chuck, oh wait, Chuck, I see you're on. I see you're here.
Yeah, I gotta unmute. I'm unmuted.
Okay, yes. Chuck, will you follow up on this particular one for the garbage?
Yeah, let me make a note. What's the development again?
Haber Houses in Coney Island. We have one building on West 25th Street and 2 buildings on West 24th Street, right by the boardwalk.
I'm sorry,
Haber Houses in Coney Island.
Haber Houses, Coney Island, okay.
Yeah, okay. Chuck Fax is the senior person at on our monitor team who is in charge of waste and pests. We combine those two because they're obviously so related.
Okay. And
Here I am.
Okay.
Thanks,
Hi.
Talk about the staff. Yeah, and it's also about excellence. Yesterday, for instance, I went outside. I had to go out early in the morning. You just one of several times I've had to do this. And trash is open. The litter is open. It's strewn all over the sidewalk. You couldn't even walk on the sidewalk. I had to tell management to come and clean it up. But if the staff is doing their routine run around in the morning, why can't they see that? Why can't they address that first thing in the morning? That's my complaint. Trash and garbage is supposed to be picked up first thing in the morning and not wait till 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. Mr. Fax will follow up.
And yes, you hit upon a very important issue that we hear, pest and waste concerns throughout. It's critical that really get addressed and that there's enough manpower to address it as well. Excellent question and issue. Thank you for that, Ms. Harrison. Any other questions on the line? Do we have anyone else in queue, Floretta?
I just wanted to pick up on Tyrone Ball's question. He's a TAP St. Nicholas Houses in Manhattan. I would like to know, is anyone talking to the fire department about the doors and elevators?
Yes, we've done it in different ways. We mentioned earlier that through the CAC and the fire department representatives who come to the CAC, we've dealt with that. But if you have a continuing problem, you're St. Nicholas Houses, did I hear correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, we can talk specifically to the people at the fire department about issues that at your houses and get them to in particular focus on it. When you talk about the doors, are you talking about them breaking down the doors when it's not necessary? Or when you think it's not necessary? Is that the problem?
He's not responding online, but
We'll follow up.
Bart,
Yes, he
Bart said
responded.
yes.
He responded, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's the same issue, Mr. Ball, but we have worked with the fire department to make sure that they all have the keys and key fobs to try to eliminate breaking down the doors, because that's an important issue that we heard time and time again, residents complaining about. And that's why a lot of having these discussions with all of you are important, because as we keep hearing concerns and themes, we elevate those to NYCHA or the other departments and agencies in the city that can best address them. So I know it's hard to see a lot of progress, but hearing from you and hearing the themes and concerns, we make those the priority issues that we work on, in addition to the pillar areas that we're focused on, which are lead, mold, pest, waste, elevators, heat issues as well. Floretta, do we have any other people in queue?
Yeah, I want to pick up on Adria Harris. She doesn't identify where she's calling from, but she says some of her tickets are getting marked as closed or repaired without repairs actually being made.
I responded to that one.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think we're good. I don't see any other questions coming through at the moment.
Could I say something still, so maybe some last word? Again, I want to say how much I appreciate everybody calling in and staying with us. As you've heard, a lot of it may sound to you like a lot of the complaints are individual complaints, but this is how we learn about the patterns that exist and how the problems are broader than at just one place or another. So we will follow up on them as individual complaints, and as we said we would, and we'll talk to NYCHA about them individually, but we don't we won't stop there. We'll try to figure out if it's a broader problem than one or two places, and then try to figure out what to do about that. So I appreciate it. I very much appreciate the fact that you speak up and you tell us about what the issues are that are bothering you the most. And I thank you for your time. And I want to thank my colleagues for giving me their evening as well to be here, and Asha and Floretta for the usual terrific way you handle these things, so we get to everybody, and we get things covered. So thank you all, and please stay safe and be safe. It's as I said earlier, we're not quite at the end of the pandemic. We still have to be careful, and it's important that everybody take care. Bob has put up the contact information again with the phone number and the toll-free number or the email. As Asha said, we look at every one. So please feel free to call us if you need to, or you want to contact some other way. And I think with that, I'd say good night to everybody.
Mr. Schwartz, can I say something?
Sure.
Hello, this is Lisa Kenner. I would like to know how you feel about the blueprint for change.
Yeah. I'm going to be very honest about this, and I've said this before. My focus is on, it's not very romantic. My focus is on rats and garbage and all the immediate problems. It's good that there is someone who is focusing on the future and 5, 10, 15 years ahead, and how you finance all of this in our country. But that's not my job. And in fact, I think I'd be doing a disservice if I spent my time on that and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I leave it to the others. There's a lot of people have to agree on the blueprint for it to work, and by its very nature, it takes time, particularly since a lot of it, remember, is a capital program. It's not a services program. It's a capital program, and capital takes a long time. And we're trying to drive the services. That's our focus. So I'll leave it to really to others. And I'm going to focus on what I'm supposed to be doing, and just try to do the best we can with that. And,
No, the reason why I asked you that, because if it goes from Section 9 to Section 8, it's going to be under HUD. And if it goes underneath that, some people are paying high rent. They're not going to be able to get a voucher. So what happens to those people? I know you may think that you're not involved in it, but it is going to be a part of HUD if they take it from Section 9 to Section 8.
Well,
my thing is, listen, if housing not doing what they're supposed to do now, when they get more money, what they going to do?
Spend it.
Just
manage it.
Well, one of the things that I do think there is a connection between the HUD agreement and the blueprint, is that the HUD agreement is an opportunity for NYCHA to prove it can get the job done.
Yeah, but if they can't get the job done, then what happened to us? That's the 110,000 people that's in these developments if they mismanage the money.
Well, for the money for operations that now, while we're here, we're not going to let that happen. That's why we're monitoring, so that to get the most out of operations, to get the most out of the money that is spent, and to do it most efficiently. So with that, I will say goodnight again. And everyone, please stay safe. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
night.
Be safe.
Good night. Thank you for joining.